You're wrong. What's that? I looked over at a student, his face angry, with fierce determination. I was few minutes into teaching an Introduction to DOS class in 1988 at Hewlett-Packard. I had 10 students in the class, all new to computers. You're wrong, this guy said. dir does not show all the files in the current directory. dir/s will show all the files in the current directory and all the subfolders as well. You're wrong. I heard a few groans from the class. I saw a few eyes being rolled, like, uh-oh, here we go again. These guys obviously knew who this person was. They probably had a name for him at work. Mr. Disruptive, whose point was to just disrupt any opportunity, whether it was a meeting or a class or anything like that. They were wondering, how's this going to go down? Is it going to be A, a showdown between the teacher and the student? Or more likely, B, is the teacher going to ignore him, and for the rest of the day, are we going to be harangued by Mr. Disruptive? I didn't ignore him. I said, did everyone hear that? What's your name, sir? Tom. Did everybody hear what Tom said? Tom said that dir/s shows the contents of not only the current directory, but all the subfolders underneath it. You're obviously a very advanced student sitting here in a beginning class. And you're absolutely correct. We're going to talk about that later. The fact that you knew that right now shows me that you're an advanced student. Here's what I'd like to do if it's okay with you. Since you are so advanced, number one, let me know if I make any other mistakes during the day, or alert me if I need to explain something a little bit better. And we're going to have labs throughout the day. You'll probably get done ahead of time. If you don't mind, I'd like you to be my assistant. Get up, and if other students are interested, help them out, if you don't mind. Would that be okay with you? A grin spread across his face. And that was the last time that day I heard from Mr. Disruptive. That's not how I deal with idiots. What's that? I had just told the story of how I dealt with an HP Disruptive student in a Train the Trainer class. I had 20 outstanding technical computer trainers at Infotech Training Institute in 1990, and from the back of the room, here comes not Tom, but Dr. Disruptive. This guy got the lowest evaluations of anybody, and the only reason he was still working at the company was because he was technically advanced, more advanced than anyone. He had a PhD in computer science and taught the highest echelon of the classes. What's that? I said. He said, that's not how I deal with idiots. I said, how do you deal with challenging students? Says, well, here's what I do. Before the class, no matter what the class is, I memorize something really, really complex and really, really technically challenging, and I wait for them. And I wait. And when that idiot pipes up, I slam them down with my techno jargon, and I make sure that they never get up again. I heard groans from the rest of the trainers. Like, uh-oh. We're going to either have a showdown here, or Dave's going to ignore him, and we're going to be harassed by Dr. Disruptive for the rest of the training session. I didn't ignore him. I felt like saying, look, idiot, you're getting a 60 on your evaluations. You're just about to be fired, even though you have 6 more years of education than me. I've got a psychology degree. I hardly know anything about computers, and yet I'm getting 98s on my evaluations, and I've been asked to teach you how to improve your evaluations. How about that? But I didn't. I didn't want to add shame to his comment, which was already a shaming response. And yet I didn't want to ignore him either. So I said this. I said, if I knew as much as you, I might use that technique. Because I don't know that much technically, I have to rely instead on my motto in life. And my motto in life is this: love the people in front of you, no matter who they are. Even if they're the disruptive students, love them. As a result, I get good evaluations. It's simple. It's no secret. I love my students. I really do. I'm not the best teacher. I don't know the most about computers, but I do love my students. As a result, they feel that somehow, and I get hundreds on almost every single evaluation when the average is 65. People ask me, what's the secret? How do you prepare for a class? I don't. I just love my students. After the class, he came up to me and said, you know, I don't agree with you. I don't like that whole idea of loving your students. But I got to admit, what you say, you know, you're getting the good evaluations, and at least I have respect for you. I said, okay, you know, you got to work with what works for you. You got to work with your own tools, whatever they are. That was 20 years ago. In those 20 years, I've built up a few successful businesses all around computer support. Every single one of these businesses really comes back to one job that I had, because the CEO of that company hired me for another one, and then those VPs went out to other companies, and they went out to other companies, and through networking I've built up 20 years of computer work. All a result of that one job. That one job where I wasn't supposed to teach that company. That one job where the trainer wasn't able to show up. He had another job. And so he asked me to fill in for him. That trainer was Dr. Disruptive. Here's the moral of the story. Every problem comes to you with a gift in its hands. Mr. Tesman.